You're out doing the recycling at 7 on some random Saturday morning. You're in your driveway in an old pair of sweats, holding a plastic bin, a little bit cold in the morning air. You glance across the street and see your neighbor backing out of their freshly sealed driveway in a brand new, pristine, $85,000 luxury SUV. You just happen to know they installed a $50,000 custom pool in their backyard last summer. You know they do. You see the perfectly curated social media photos of them taking their 3 kids to Disney World twice a year. There you are, standing with the handle of your recycling bin, trying to figure out their salary against yours. Because you know for a fact they have pretty much the same job title you do. You're in the same line of business. You are aware of the pay bands. And as you stand there doing this mental math, you feel a very particular creeping panic rising in your chest. It is the quiet, desperate knowledge that you are doing something fundamentally wrong. That you somehow missed a secret meeting where everyone else in your tax bracket was handed the map to financial success, and you are the only one left behind doing poverty math in a suburban driveway. Spoiler alert, it's not you. It's just math. But the math is absolutely brutal. My name is Scott, and today we're going to do something that the financial media, the real estate industry, and the auto dealerships really don't want you to see. Now we're going to take apart the whole middle-class wealth illusion. Piece by piece, I am going to tell you the exact reasons you are probably doing way better than the people you are so desperately jealous of right now. If you're tired of doing envy math in your driveway, if you're tired of feeling like you're always losing a game you didn't even want to play in the first place, hit that subscribe button. Because today we're going to talk about the truth that nobody took the time to teach you. Let's get the bad news out of the way first, because the premise of everything we're going to talk about is based on one very specific falsifiable claim. These days in America, looking rich and being rich are inversely correlated. The performance of wealth is almost always financed by dangerous high-interest debt and an undertow of quiet panic. The people you think are winning are just putting on a very expensive play, and you are comparing your one real, transparent income to someone else's invisible iceberg of debt. To understand this, we need to look at the current market baseline. We have to lay out the common facts of what's going on in the economy right now. The Federal Reserve is reporting that aggregate household debt in the United States has now officially surpassed $17 trillion. Credit card balances are at all-time historic highs, with average interest rates above 20%. Meanwhile, the median savings account in America has about $8,000 in it. The median balance for someone in their 30s is less than $50,000. We live in a society where the difference between what the system expects people to be able to afford and what people actually have is catastrophic. The line for joining the middle-class wealth-building project has moved up a full professional tier in one generation. When you see only luxury cars, perfect lawns, and major home renovations, when you look around your neighborhood, you are not looking at a community of secret millionaires. You are looking at a highly leveraged debt trap in the guise of the American dream. So let's crunch some numbers. I'm going to walk you through the 9 invisible signs that you are quietly building real, lasting wealth while everyone else around you is just buying the illusion of it. Sign 1. You have a really boring car that is totally paid off. Look at the real cost of that $85,000 SUV across the street. Right now, the average new car payment in America is over $730 a month. And that's just an average. The luxury SUVs are well over $1,000. But let us adhere to the average of $730. That is not a toll. That is an anchor strapped to your financial future that kills wealth. Let's stack the math. You have $730 a month for the loan. Then tack on an extra $200 for the higher comprehensive insurance required by the bank. Add another $150 for gas and regular maintenance. Your neighbor spends over $1,000 a month just to get their body from point A to point B. Now let's convert that into opportunity cost, because this is where the math really gets ugly. So if you take that $730 car payment and you invest it in a S&P 500 index fund, instead, that money becomes over $1.6 million over 30 years at average historical returns. Over 40 years, it's well over $3 million. You are not paying $730 a month for a car. You are using $1.6 million to impress strangers at stoplights. Let me repeat that, for emphasis. Each time someone finances an average new car, they are trading $1.6 million of their future wealth for leather seats and a new car smell that lasts 6 months. If you drive a 7-year-old Honda Civic or Toyota Camry that you own outright, and your dashboard sometimes rattles when you hit the highway, you are not losing. You are keeping your own cash. Sign 2. Your bank approval amount has nothing to do with your housing cost. Let me tell you about a couple we'll call the Bennetts. This is the face of aspirational failure in modern America. Together, the Bennetts earn $160,000 a year. They are winning by any historic or global measure. They make pretty much double the median income for a household. They went to good schools, they got the right degrees, they did everything that society told them to do. But when it was time to buy a house, they pushed their mortgage approval letter as far as it would go. They bought a $600,000 home at 7% interest. This is where the illusion breaks down. Let's go through their budget line by line. Their monthly mortgage, property tax, and home insurance payments are about $4,500. They have 2 car payments of $1,400. They pay $2,000 a month for food, utilities, cell phones, and basic needs. Let's stop and count it up. $4,500 for the house, $1,400 for the autos, $2,000 to keep alive. That's $7,900. Before they buy a pair of shoes, before they fund a retirement account, before they buy a birthday present for their kid, before they go out to dinner even once. Almost $8,000 of their approximately $10,000 take-home pay each month is gone. Automatically, the Bennetts are one medical emergency, one transmission failure, or one corporate restructuring layoff away from total financial collapse. This is what it is really like day to day. It is like earning $160,000 a year and sitting in the parking lot of the grocery store, checking your banking app to make sure the debit card does not decline when you purchase chicken breasts and paper towels. It's like telling your kid, I can't afford to pay for your $35 field trip because you literally don't have the liquidity until the 15th of the month. It's like waking up at 2 a.m. staring at the ceiling and wondering how you make so much money but have none of it. There is no prize for being house poor. When you spend less than 28% of your gross income on housing, you are building wealth because you actually have oxygen in your budget. You can actually afford to have a bad month. Number 3 sign. You automate your investing before your brain knows you got paid. Money is a disaster in human psychology. Survey after survey shows 78% say they are going to increase their savings rate when they get a pay raise at work. Do you know how many actually do that? Very few of them. They don't do it because the human brain is wired for present bias. Evolutionarily, our ancestors only had to survive the week. So our brain likes $500 today more than $50,000 in 40 years. They had to eat the berries now, not save the berries for a comfortable retirement. So as soon as you get that 6% raise and the extra cash hits your checking account, your brain starts spending it on slightly better versions of things you already own. You purchase the slightly costlier coffee. You upgrade your streaming services. You pay for the name brand and not the store brand. It's called lifestyle inflation, and it's silent and deadly. If you have your investments automatically deducted from your paycheck or checking account and sent directly to a brokerage account on the first of the month, before you can even log in and look at the balance, you've avoided your own psychological flaws. You are successful because you have made the default state of your life the right boring thing. 4th sign. You don't fund your lifestyle with hidden debt. This is where we destroy the myth of envy math. You see your friends taking European vacations, eating $300 dinners, and wearing expensive clothes, and you sit there wondering how they can afford it on their salary. Let me show you the scaffolding underneath that lifestyle. It's an iceberg, and most of it is below the surface. In fact, 36% of Americans have gone into debt for travel in the past year alone. They are putting those flights to Italy on credit cards and paying a minimum balance at 24% interest rate. But it gets even more insidious. Now, every single checkout page on the internet has buy now, pay later built into it. People are paying for their lifestyle in 4 easy installments. They are paying for concert tickets. They are funding winter coats. They take out short-term, high-interest debt under the name of a tech startup that sounds friendlier and pastel. And that is just on the debt side. Let's talk about the advantages we don't see. You are comparing your one income to people who are getting huge, unacknowledged transfers of wealth from their parents. They get down payment assistance that they never talk about. Their parents are still paying their cell phone bills well into their 30s. They get their adult allowance. You're running a legit race, and they have a GPS tracker and a motor in their shoes. You can't do envy math with only half the equation. Rumors of real money cries counterfeit money. The louder the lifestyle, the bigger the designer logos, the less real, lasting wealth is behind it. Sign 5. You know that the financial media isn't here to help you. The financial media doesn't just report on your fear. It creates urgency about it. Your panic is literally what they sell. Let's be brutally honest about the systemic indictment here. Sitting glued to your television screen during a market dip, terrifying yourself into a state of paralysis so you will watch their commercials for gold coins and reverse mortgages, is how the entire financial news complex makes money. Actively managed mutual funds make money by convincing you that investing is too complicated for normal people, so that they can charge you a 1% management fee. That 1% fee doesn't sound like much, right? But a 1% fee across 30 years of investing will consume around 25 to 30% of your total potential returns. It will cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I mean literally. They profit off your panic. They make money when you don't feel good enough. When you buy a boring index fund and set it on autopilot and hold it for 40 years, they make absolutely $0. No one in the financial entertainment industry has any financial incentive to do what's right for you. They all go home with their bonuses, and you go home with a decimated portfolio. You are already beating them if you ignore the noise and turn off the TV and refuse to play their game. Sign number 6. You invite extreme boredom on your investments. Dalbar's annual quantitative analysis of investor behavior shows that the average equity mutual fund investor earns about 8.5 percentage points less than the S&P 500 index in any given year. I'll tell you why. Because of emotional timing decisions. They're trying to beat the market. They see a scary headline, they panic, and they sell their investments at the absolute bottom. Then they wait for things to look safe again. And they buy back in at the absolute top. They are buying high and selling low systematically. Meanwhile, JP Morgan data shows that if you invested $10,000 in the S&P 500 from 2005 to 2024 and just left it alone, fully invested, you would have over $70,000. But if you tried to time the market, and you missed the 10 best trading days in that 20-year span, your return would have been just $32,000, not $70,000. Half your wealth is cut. If you miss the 30 best days, you're basically at zero for 20 years. And now for the punchline. Half of the worst 10 days in history are followed within 2 weeks by 7 of the best 10 days. The biggest bounces come just after the most horrific drops. If your portfolio is so boring you forget your password, if you do absolutely nothing when a crisis hits, you are quietly getting rich. Sign number 7. You know your actual net worth without having to guess. You know the profound difference between income and wealth. Income is the water that comes out of the faucet and goes into the bucket. Wealth is the water that truly stays in the bucket. Henrys are a growing demographic in this country at a rapid rate. Rich, not rich. High earners. These are people that make $250,000 a year, and they're dead broke. There is no prize for making $250,000 a year. If you spend $250,001 a year, you're way more wealthy and way more safe if you make $80,000. And you save and invest $15,000 of it, than the doctor down the street making $300,000 who has a huge mortgage, 2 leased Mercedes, and a mountain of private student loan debt. You measure your success by the difference between what you take in and what you spend, not the gross top-line number you tell people at cocktail parties. Sign number 8. You have come to realize that the system is fully engineered to extract the maximum amount of capital from you for the longest possible duration. Every single default setting in our modern economy is precisely calibrated against you. The minimum payment option on your credit card is designed to keep your balance compounding for decades, so the bank can suck the maximum amount of interest from you. The car dealership's 84-month loan is designed to slash your monthly payments just enough to trap you in negative equity for almost a decade, ensuring you owe more than the car is worth the moment you drive it off the lot. And that 30-year mortgage at the very top of your approval range ensures that no matter what you feel comfortable or secure with, the bank is getting 30 years of hugely front-loaded interest payments from you. The free trial requires a credit card and will renew automatically at full price. They are counting on you forgetting. That's not some fringe conspiracy. It's just about knowing a model of business. It is reading blueprints of the machine. And once you know the business model, you can choose not to participate. This isn't about personal failure. If you're having difficulty, it's because the system is functioning precisely as it was mathematically intended to function. You didn't make it. You didn't ask for it. If people are telling you to just budget better or grind harder, while completely ignoring the structural context of this extraction machine, they're not doing you any favors. But you don't have to become a victim. Number 9 sign. You prefer to be really free than to be rich on the surface. You are perfectly willing to look poor to your peers today in order to actually be rich tomorrow. You've allowed yourself to stop playing a rigged game. The S&P 500 has returned about 10% a year since 1926. That long continuous period includes the Great Depression, when the market dropped 86%. This includes World War II, where Dow actually made a 50% gain. It includes the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the terrible stagflation of the 1970s, the dot-com bubble explosion of 2000, the disastrous 2008 global financial crisis, and the unprecedented COVID crash. The market recovered from the COVID crash in just 5 months. It took about 5.5 years to recover from the housing collapse of 2008. The S&P 500 has always returned positive returns in any 20-year period. Not once in all history. Never. Never. If you still don't believe the abstract numbers, if your brain is still fighting the math, then let us look at real people that prove that income is totally irrelevant to outcome if your behavior is right. Consider Ronald Reed. Ronald worked as a gas station attendant and a janitor in rural Vermont. He never made more than $20,000 in his life. He had on a heavy winter coat, safety pins shut. He drove a rusty 2007 Toyota Yaris. His co-workers at the gas station made fun of him for being cheap. They didn't know that Ronald had bought boring dividend-paying stocks every week for 70 years and never, ever sold. $8 million was in his estate when he died. The same co-workers who laughed at his rusty car had been working next to a multi-millionaire for decades and had no clue at all. Then there was Sylvia Bloom. She was a paralegal in Manhattan. She worked at the same law firm for 67 years. When the high-powered lawyers she worked for ordered large amounts of stock, she would discreetly buy smaller amounts of the same stocks on her secretary's salary. Until she was 96 years old, she took the subway to work every single day. She died worth over $9 million. Or take Grace Groner. In 1935, she purchased 3 shares of stock in Abbott Laboratory for a total of $180. She never bought another share. She has just reinvested every dividend she ever got. She didn't accept the cash. She lived in a small 1-bedroom home. She died at the age of 100 in 2010. Her estate was valued at $7.2 million. 3 shares, $180. 75 years of not touching it at all. These people proved the ultimate truth of the financial system. You don't need a big inheritance. You don't need an Ivy League degree. You don't have to make an investment banking salary. You just need great patience and the emotional discipline to let compound interest do the heavy lifting for you while you live your boring life. So here is what you are going to do right now. I'm going to give you 5 solid, actionable steps to take. Don't overanalyze them. Do not look them up for 3 weeks. Just run them. Step 1. Open a Roth IRA at Fidelity, Vanguard, or Schwab. A Roth IRA allows your money to grow totally tax-free, forever. It takes 20 minutes online, exactly. Don't wait till the weekend. Step 2. Link it to your main checking account and deposit what you can afford. The perfect target is $500 to max it out over the year. But if you only have $50 right now, start with $50. Third step, purchase one broad S&P 500 index fund. You can purchase the Fidelity 500 Index Fund, FXAIX, with an expense ratio of essentially 0. You can purchase the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF with the ticker VOO. Or you could buy the Schwab S&P 500 Index Fund, ticker SWPPX. Pick one of them. Literally anyone doesn't matter. Just pick one and purchase it. Fourth step. Invest that amount automatically every month. Ask the platform to take the money the day after you get paid. Step 5. Don't mind the account. Remove the app from your phone. If the news is bad, don't look at it. Check it once a year, at tax time. Live your actual life and let the math compound. There's a you 30 years from now. That person is waking up in a fully paid off house with a multi-million-dollar investment portfolio. They pour a cup of coffee and plot out their day, totally unaware of corporate layoffs, totally insulated from inflation, totally indifferent to what the neighbors are driving. They are utterly, deeply free. And there's another one of you. 30 years later, that person is charging their basic medical care on a high-interest credit card. They have a part-time job that they hate, but they have no other choice. They live one minor emergency away from total catastrophe, and they are always wondering where all the money went. You are both of these people. Both are possible futures. The only thing that determines which one becomes reality is what you decide to do in the next 30 minutes. Ronald Reed was an ordinary man. Sylvia Bloom was nothing special. And you're not, in the best way possible. You don't need to be a genius to win this game. It's simply a discipline thing. It's your call. Math won't wait for you to be ready, and neither will time. If that reframed anything for you today, hit like and subscribe. And it's completely free. This will only take 2 seconds of your time. And unlike the giant financial media conglomerates, the banks, and the car dealerships, I don't benefit when you are scared. Now let me get to the 3 things you are really thinking about right now. Not the polite, theoretical objections you'd raise in public, but the gut-level anxious ones that keep you awake at night. First of all, you're thinking, this is all great if you're rich. but you just can't afford to invest. You're just getting by. Now let's look at the behavior data. The average American spends $273 a month on subscription services that they barely use or literally forgot they have. They also spend another $280 a month on dining out or ordering in. That's $553 of the average budget, bleeding out without even trying. I'm not telling you to stop eating. I'm saying you already have the $500 a month. You're just spending it on stuff that won't be here 40 years from now. Sometimes it's not a matter of income. The problem is often a thing called doom spending. 20% of Americans just spend too much because they're anxious about the economy. This is retail therapy on a civilizational scale. We are using high-interest consumer debt to cope with the enormous stress of having too much debt. Second, you believe it is way too late for you to get started. You think, I missed the boat, why bother? Let me show you the math of the waiting penalty. The brutal math. If you start investing $500 a month today, and you do it for 40 years, then you will end up with about $3.16 million. If you wait a year to get your life together, you'll have to spend $520 a month to reach the same goal. Wait 5 years, and the required monthly contribution jumps to $690. Wait 10 years, and you've got to put in over $1,050 a month. The longer you wait, every year the target is moving away from you faster than you can possibly run to catch up. The math is not linearly worse, but exponentially worse. 1/3 of people think of compound growth as being linear. They look at a compounding portfolio, draw a straight line, and decide it is going nowhere. But compounding is hockey stick. The magic is all at the end. Third, you are afraid the market is going to crash as soon as you put your money in it. You want to look for a pullback. You want things to calm down. Listen very closely to me.